Hey guys, sorry I didn't get this posted last night. I actually did not leave the school until about 8 o'clock last night, just trying to get work done and everything. You guys, so we're going to be moving, the last real step of systems of equations is solving systems of equations that have three variables. Now these aren't really all that much more difficult than the ones with two variables, but instead of, it's going to add one more process, I guess you could say. Because with two variables, we wanted to eliminate one of them and then solve for the other one, and then plug that one back in to get the other the other variables the other variables value. With three variables, we're going to do something very similar to that. We're going to start with 3. We want to cut it down to 2. And then once we get to 2, we want to cut it down to 1. Because once we get it to 2, it's just like a system of equations with two variables. I want to cut it down to 1, solve for that variable. Then I'm going to plug that into the system of two variables. I'm going to solve for the second variable there. And then I'll plug both variables into the beginning equations and solve for the third variable. So these really aren't all that much more difficult, so don't panic. So let's go ahead and let's start here. So it says the sum of the digits of a 3-digit number. So when you think of a 3-digit number, an example of a 3-digit number would be like 138. This would be the hundreds digit, the tens digit, and the units digit. So we're going to go ahead and use those as our our variables. So it says the sum of the digits. So we're going to say h plus t plus u equals, and it says the number is 12. Now, it says the tens digit is. Anytime you see the word is, it's typically an equal sign. So the tens digit, which we're using as t, is, and it says 2 less than the hundreds digit. Now, when you think of less to less, okay, it's not 2 minus. And the reason why is because if you put it in terms of numbers, if I said what is 2 less than 100, well then you would do 100 minus 2, which would be 98. So we're going to say this is going to be h minus 2. And then the last one, it says, and the units digit, so units is 4 less than the sum of the two digits. Now, when you think of it that way, it's telling you that you're looking for a number that's 4 less than a sum. Anytime it's less than a sum, then that means you're going to have to add two numbers together. So we're going to do the addition first. So we're adding h plus t, and then we're going to subtract. Now I have to do this first, which means it has to be in parentheses, and I'm going to subtract 4. So here's my 3 equations. I have 3 variables, I have 3 equations. Now, you can use substitution, you can use elimination, it does not matter, whichever you find to be easier. So I'm going to start, because I see right here I've got a nice easy number here, or value here. So I'm going to start by plugging that in to t in the first equation. So that's going to give me h plus h minus 2 plus u equals 12. And if I simplify that, since this is plus, I don't need the parentheses. That's going to give me 2h minus 2 plus u equals 12. Okay. Now when I look at the u equation, I see an h and a t. So I want to get u in terms of one equation, so I'm also going to plug this value in for t here. So that means that I'm going to get u equals, this is going to be h plus h minus 2 minus 4. And then again, we can get rid of the parentheses here. So this is going to become 2h minus 2 minus 4, which is going to equal 2h minus 6. And that equals u. So now I have a value of u to which I can plug in up here as well. So now I get 2h minus 2 plus 2h minus 6 equals 12. Now you're going to combine your like terms and you're going to solve. So you're going to get, that's actually going to be 4h, and then you're going to get minus 8 equals 12. And now let's solve for h. So you're going to add 8 to both sides. And you get 4h equals 20. Divide by 4, and you get h equals 5. Okay, and I'm actually going to draw some lines here so that we can have some more space to work. So now I'm going to take this, and I'm going to plug it in where it's necessary. So, like, for example, we can now solve for t fairly easy because I can plug this in for t. So I would get t equals, h is 5 minus 2, which means t equals 3. Alright, so my digits. I have h equals 5, which means the first number, the hundreds digit, is 5. The tens digit is 3. Okay, and now I can take this and I can plug it into the u and get my last answer. So I get u equals, h is 5 plus 3 minus 4. This is u equals 8 minus 4, which means u equals 4. And that gives me my number of 534. And you can always check your answer by plugging it in right here, because we haven't done this yet. Alright, so our check then would be h, which is 5, plus t, which is 3, plus u, which is 4, equals 12. And let's see if that's true. 5 and 3 is 8, plus 4 equals 12, which means 12 equals 12, and it checks. So our answer then is 534. I highly suggest, and this is actually something I'm going to start forcing you guys to do because I won't give you credit on your notes if you don't, but you guys need to start writing steps. So what did we do for step 1? What did we do for step 2? What did we do for step 3? And that way you guys have something to refer back to. Okay, so now let's look at example number 2. Let's see if I can move this up a little bit and give us a little bit more space here. I'm actually just going to delete that. Okay, so for example number 2, it says a cashier has 25 coins consisting of nickels, dimes, and quarters. Now that tells me that I have a total of 25 coins, of which some are nickels, some are dimes, and some are quarters. So I now have my 3 variables. We're going to go with N, D, Q. And I know that the number of nickels plus the number of dimes plus the number of quarters is going to give me 25 coins total. So I have N plus D plus Q equals 25. And it says that the value of each one, or of it total, is $4.90. Okay? So what that's going to tell me then is that's going to give me another big equation. Alright, so let's continue on. Let's see if we can come up with another equation here first. So it says if the number of dimes, so we have D is 1 less than twice the number of nickels. So I'd write twice the number of nickels as 2n, and it's 1 less than that. It says how many of each type of coin does she have. Now, this is where we're going to have to come up with the bigger equation. This is $4.90, because we know that the total amount of money you have is $4.90. Okay? Now, how do we find out how much money you actually have? How much of each one? Well, you're going to take the value of each nickel and multiply it by the number of each nickel. So a nickel is 5 cents. So this would be 0.05N. That will give me the total amount of money you have in nickels. Plus dimes are 0.1D. Plus quarters are 0.25Q. This gives us our third equation. Now, let's go ahead and do some solving now. Okay. So we know we can solve. Okay, so the first equation, let's go ahead and use this. So I can say D is 2n minus 1. So I'm going to plug this in for D. So I'm going to get n plus 2n minus 1 plus q equals 25. That's going to be 3n minus 1 plus q equals 25. Now I can solve this for q, because I don't have a value for q anywhere. I only have a value for d. Okay, so let's go ahead and from here I'm going to take 3n minus 1 plus q equals 25, and I'm going to solve for q. So I'm going to add 1 to both sides, and I'm going to subtract 3n to both sides. So I'm going to get q equals 25 plus 1 is 26, so this would be, actually let me erase that, should be a 3. N plus 26. So now I have an equation to which I can plug in where I'm going to get all n's. Okay, so we have 0.05 n plus 0.1, and I can plug this in for d, so that's times 2n minus 1 plus 0.25 times, and we know q is minus 3n plus 26, and that equals 4.90. Now, at this point, this is kind of like our mixture problems. We don't want to work with decimals if we don't have to. So let's get rid of the decimals. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to multiply this entire equation. Now we need to get rid of all the decimals, so I've got 2 numbers after the decimal here, 2 here, 2 here. So I have to multiply by 100 to get rid of all of my decimals. That's going to give me 5n plus 10 times 2n minus 1 plus 25 times negative 3n plus 26 equals 490. And now I have an equation that we can actually solve. So let me go ahead and actually insert a new page here. Okay, and I'll rewrite the equation. So that was 5n plus 10 times 2n minus 1 plus 25 times, that's negative 3n plus 26 equals 490. So now let's go ahead and let's solve for n, and then just start plugging in where we can. So this is 5n plus, that's 20n minus 10 plus 25. That's going to be actually 25 times negative 3 is negative 75n plus 25 times 26, that's going to be 30. 6 times 2 is 12, plus 3 is 15. 0, that's going to be 10, or 5. So this would be 650. That's plus 650 equals 490. Now let's combine our like terms. So you got, that's 25n minus 75n, so that's minus 50n. And then you're going to have plus negative 10 and 650 is going to be plus 640 equals 490. Subtract 640 to both sides. You're going to get negative 50n equals, that's going to be 0, that's going to be 5. So you're talking negative 250. Divide by negative 50. And you're going to get n equals 5. Okay? And now I'm going to take this and I'm going to use my other information. So now we know n equals 5. So let's find out how many dimes we have. So now you have d equals 2n minus 1. So you get d equals 2 times 5 minus 1, which means d equals 10 minus 1, and you get d equals 9. And then for quarters, we know that n plus q plus d equals 25. and our N is 5. Our Q we don't have, and our dimes are 9 equals 25. 9 and 5 is 14 plus Q equals 25. Subtract 14 to both sides, and you're going to get Q equals 11. And then you can always check your answer. So our answer should be then, it should be, and you're always going to put these in alphabetical order when you do them as a point, but it would be 9, 5, 11. 9 dimes, 5 nickels, and 11 quarters. Okay? So that would be the answer, or you can leave them separate and just have it as nickels, 5, dimes, 9, quarters, 11. It doesn't matter which way you do it. So these really aren't all that much more difficult. They are longer just because it's more work, but that's about it. So you guys come into class prepared to go on Monday. We're going to do some work with these on Monday, and then we'll go from there. Have a great weekend. I'll see you guys on Monday.